Okay, guys, welcome back. Bottom right corner, team MVP, Vampire. Pretty strong in best of ones against Zergs. His best of threes, not so hot, but he's really good at doing really aggressive two-base pushes and killing your opponent really quickly because he has good gateway control. So expect something from Vampire to be a little bit fishy. Just knock out Buell really quickly, who is actually in the top right corner as your light pink Zerg.
That's right. So PVZ on Entomb Valley, a matchup that's been played out quite a few times on this map. And we'll see what Buell wants to do. Of course, you can go for things that are a little bit interesting on this map, I should say. You know, from both perspectives, it looks like Vampire wants to get a very early scout out there, make sure he knows exactly what's going on, try and deny that natural as long as possible. This is one of the best maps, if he decides to go the Forge route, of course, and not just Nexus first, to actually pylon block natural expansions. Just due to the fact that your third is so isolated from the rest through the destructible rocks and incredibly far away. It's not like you can just easily spread creep over there. And we used to be, of course, that you would just see strong gateway attacks that were timed at killing that third once you denied the natural.
Combat X actually taught me on this map too that cannon rushes are really strong. Oh my gosh. At the start of the natural behind the minerals, and then you can actually bring your probe up into the main on the bottom right corner and get a couple Fenning cannons up, and oh, it's so hard to engage into, but we'll see if that's the plan here for Vampire. Most likely not. Especially with the pool going first here. I want to see what Vampire's going to go for, man. Have you actually, speaking of interesting, have you seen on this build, on this map, there's this build it's two-base Mothership with Void Ray support.
What?
Yeah.
No.
You recall into your opponent's main with a sentry or two. You do the recall into the main, and then you force field the ramp and just kill them with Void Ray as you charge up on your own Nexus. It's so strong.
Wow.
I mean, that'd be insane if we saw that, but...
Be amazing.
Yeah, man.
No, I was waiting for you to say something a little more conventional. Like, oh, yes, I would be that guy. Be like, oh, yes, well, clearly that was used in this game, in this tournament. Yes, I know, but no, Mothership Void Ray,
yeah, not so much.
A while.
It's cool. I saw it once in a Play Him daily, and it was the most amazing thing ever in my life. Like, I cried afterwards. I was like, I can't cast, guys. I'm done. I turned off the stream and
wept tears of joy.
Yeah, I was like, that was amazing.
Well, Buell, of course, going for his natural expansion. Vampire went for Nexus first. Forge afterwards. You can't pylon block when that happens. So everything's looking very normal at this stage of the game. Gateway coming up. We'll see a photon cannon here in just a moment.
Alrighty here. So standard. ZVP, man. Should see a third very quickly here from Vampire. Or, I'm sorry, from Buell, if I could talk here. Ling's going to go check out that third, though. You never want to have a pylon block. Actually, he has an Overlord going there, so I'm okay with Ling's going across the middle of the map. Notice last game, he actually opened up with 6 Lings against Terran. This game is only going 4. Just, you can't do anything against Protoss, really, early on, especially at this Ray, the way he went for the build. So, Buell will just be playing standard ZVP. Want to see that creep spread on the way, man. Get those queens out.
Lings get there very quickly, but of course, because of the way that he decided to do his ramp, he actually only needed a wall off here over at this pylon. Photon cannon not even going to lose all of its shields. Wards off the Zerglings, no problem at all.
Clever wall off there. That's,
I like it.
One of the features in this map, so really nice here. It's cool how it like bows in, and then you can finish it off later on. So there goes Cybernetics core, and now Vampire is nice and safe and toasty in his little base here. Third hatchery finally on the way. I believe that was thrown down around 4 minutes. We've been seeing 3:45, but 4 minutes will do it. That'll be just fine. Do the same job.
It was almost exactly 4 minutes, about 4:04, something like that. So a little bit later than normal, like you said, but nothing that's cause for concern, as we'll see what Buell can do from here on out. But Vampire, double gas. Real question, of course, is going to be when does he take his third and fourth? And we're actually playing out to be a fairly conventional PVZ so far. Nothing really to tip our hand as to what direction these players are going to go down.
Alright, so I want to watch here to see what Buell goes for in terms of queen production here. Finally following up into his second one here. And he's actually moved that queen down to where it's going to spread creep immediately. Again, you need to get on top of that. I would actually use this, oh, that's a third queen actually. Use that third queen that pops out. Don't inject because you're going to have a third hatchery finishing up in the top left corner, and you can keep up with drone production on the larva that is popping out. And just use that energy immediately for another creep tumor and get it moving. 3 to 4 creep tumors really accelerates the creep across the middle of the map. Been playing with that a lot lately, just having 4 creeps. Oh my god, it's so fast.
Yeah, I mean, and we mentioned before that on this map it's especially important too because you can shut down those early Mortal Sentry all-ins. Now, I do want to point out that Vampire decided to put up these gases at about the, I guess it was 5:30 mark, but he went right for third and fourth gas before any tech. So his Sentry count is growing. That's obviously occupying 100 gas at a time, so that's a pretty big investment for him to make. And he goes right for that robotics facility. So we'll see what he does here in a moment, and +1 weapons. So he obviously has a couple of follow-ups to this. There could just be a good old-fashioned like 3-gate Robo Expand build that pops out, going through these rocks really early, but we do have to be on the lookout for a big Immortal Sentry all-in.
Oh lord, should get away just barely. It's going to be really close. Tickle Beam too strong. Okay, Overlord is killed off. Did he see that pylon, actually? This one in the top right corner with the vision? I think he came in just enough to see it.
I don't think he did.
Okay, yes, he did barely see it. So he has another Overload in the top right corner, so he knows that there is going to be some aggressive play coming his way. He can look at that pylon or the one down here in the bottom left, and it looks like Vampire's chosen to kill that Overlord in the bottom left to actually put up those 3 gateways there. Had that Overlord lived, he probably would have thrown it in the top right corner, and Buell would have had a cool scout. This just interesting Overlord placement there.
Yeah.
And it was really important for him to see that second pylon, but he does know that 3 gateways are on the way.
That's right. He knows that 3 gateways are on the way, going up to his macro hatch, and Lair Tech is just about to finish here, just after the 8-minute mark. So we'll see what he ends up moving into shortly. But you know, Vampire is going to have the ability to put on some pressure here soon. Twilight Council comes up though, and of course that slows everything down. Had this just been continuing towards +1, and then eventually we saw a couple more gates. Yes, that's going to be the Immortal Sentry all in. This is going to be defensive Immortal Sentry plays. He breaks down the rocks and goes for a 3rd base. So
we have 6 gases on the way. There's 2 options, well, 3 options. You have the 1 Evolution Chamber into Hydra play that you can go with, or you have the Spire Tech, or you have Infestors. I feel like it's going to be Spire in some way. Okay, cool. So Spire Tech on the way. So Muto's kind of fun. You can poke it in the natural a little bit. It's hard to fully engage into the main, so if Vampire catches wind of this really quickly, puts up a couple of photon cannons outside his natural and his third, it should, for the most part, play pretty safe. Especially with him falling up into Blink, he should be able to hold off any tech like that with no problem, really.
Tim with the brave predictions. I think it's going to be Spire 2 seconds after Spire starts. Well done.
I didn't even see it. I swear, man. I swear. I was looking at the gases on the minimap, but we'll pretend that I cheated there.
Yeah. No. Well done. No. Yes. Anyway, so Spinecrawler Wall is starting. Indeed, it is going to be Spire play going up to a 4th base. And of course, there's a few options you can go from here. We can see the there's the very annoying strategy, bunker up behind a lot of spine crawlers, just take the entire top of the map, 7 bases, and starve your opponent out on 3 bases. Rinse and repeat until you've played for about an hour and a half. Now, we could see a little bit more creative play, too. He could be using Mutas as a gateway into later techs, and indeed, he's investing very heavily into his ground upgrades now, making sure he's not going to get behind those. So, Mutas are certainly going to be used, and he's going to be able to make 10 of them at the same time, actually almost 11 when this does finally finish. So, he'll be able to put on a lot of pressure, but he doesn't have to commit into just huge swaths of Mutas in the later parts of the game.
Yeah, I really like him only using 1 Evolution Chamber. This allows him to do multiple expansions because you're saving off on a lot of resources, and you're also having extra gas as well, so you just keep up on the Muta production, which again just scares Vampire to staying stuck into his natural and 3rd and not moving out for a while. So I like that play there, just keeping off on the 2nd Evolution Chamber.
And Vampire is not actually seeing the Spire up at the top right, so he doesn't have an indication quite yet as to what his opponent is going for, and I don't believe he's actually gotten across to see these Mutas flying across the map yet, so we'll see when he picks up on these, but this is, there we go, finally he knows now.
Immediately, we should have a couple of photon cannons up. I don't think he has so many stalkers on the field here. Only have 4 with 11 Mutas popping in. They should be able to deal with them actually pretty nicely. When you get to the higher numbers of Mutas, after about 10 versus 10 stalkers, you actually do more damage because of the Glaive Worm popping around. So you can actually take those trades pretty efficiently.
Yeah, so photon cannons are popping up in the natural, but nowhere else for the time being. And oh god, that could be a lot of dead units there. The Guardian Shield goes down to protect against the ranged attacks of the Mutalisks, but everything depowered up front and require a couple more pylons. Photon cannon picks away at one of the Mutas, but isn't able to do all that much.
So Buell, now realizing, okay, Vampire is going to start playing pretty passive. I'm not going to really do too much. He's just going to go ahead and start moving up in more upgrades. Grabbing a 2nd Evolution Chamber, going to start that +1 Carapace. At this point, just keep your Mutas going. Get to about 20-25 Mutas. Yep. They are so darn strong. And just kill off whatever you can. A couple of pylons here. You don't really need to fully engage and kill off your opponent in probes. Just make sure that you start transitioning around the 13 to 14 minute mark, because that's where Protoss on 3 bases is going to get really strong.
No, but we talked about this before too. I mean, he is taking basically the entire map and certainly has the ability, if he keeps his opponent locked in on 3 bases, to just keep him there the entire game. Mutalist bounce back in. 23 Mutas was the final count. I'm sorry, 21 Mutas was the final count. Just misread that down at the bottom. And Vampire's going to have a tough time rallying his way back against these, as pylons are going to fall very quickly to that force.
So many drones, man. 97 drones here for Vampire. Or I'm sorry, for Buell, which means that he just wants to really just recycle units, especially lanes here, and just do as much damage in the trades on his opponent's side of the map here. And once you get to that higher 90 area, you just recycle units as much as possible. Mutas, again, they're trying to pop around, but they just really can't do too much. Vampire's doing a good job of just defending around this area.
He is, but we need to see some Templar here in just a bit, too. I mean, he's really going to need those because as that Muta count starts to grow, because this is actually just going into the Starve Out Muta strategy now. He's going up as quick as he can, checking around for whatever sort of tech is available to him. It doesn't really matter. He has a huge amount of resources at the moment. Nice job actually picking off the upgrade that was going. I would think that was +2 armor. Yeah, that was +2 armor at this this Hurt Forge. But he wants to check in, make sure that nothing's around there. He's got enough resources on 5 bases that he can easily replenish that that Zergling count.
Yeah, certainly. I agree with you. I'm looking at Vampire. I'm keeping an eye on that production tab because he does need to move into some kind of splash damage right now. Stalker, unfortunately, you can get to a high amount of Stalkers with the upgrades, but again, they just don't really do that much against Ling Muta. Have an engagement here. Lings are going straight forward. There is a Colossus back there doing a lot of damage, and actually, with those Lings being melted, Stalkers blink forward, and they're poking off a lot of Mutas.
Yeah, don't know how wise that last engagement was. I mean, certainly, Buell's at the point on now going to 6 bases where he can recycle units very quickly. You mentioned it before, and I talked about just wanting to starve your opponent out. But if you give him that big of a kill, it's pretty easy for Vampire to move in and try and do some damage on his own. And this is exactly what you don't want. Your build here is designed to keep your opponent pinned in. You counterattack, as we see here, to draw their forces back. But if Vampire goes for this could be very difficult for Buell to deal with.
32 Banelings are on the way. Going to try and get a huge splash here. And would like to have Lings come in from the side, but Lings do make their way into the third, but with the photon cannons themselves there, Vampire defending this very nicely. Colossus does see the Banelings right away, and they are just dying so quickly. Hardly any damage going down. Does kill off about 6-7 Stalkers there, but now Vampire just moving forward. Base raid scenario is underway. Mutas are only left now as the Lings were finally cleaned up, and now, oh no, that's some that were actually burrowed. Stalker trying to deal with the Mutas. Nice burial though from Beal though, gonna get the Lings in.
Yeah, I mean, but there's still 2 photon cannons down here at the side, so everything's going to be dealt with really cost efficiently. Even if all these forces die, they've taken way more with them than they actually cost. Same thing with these Banelings up here. Yeah, they killed 6 or 7 Stalkers, but the problem was 22 Banelings, you're sinking 1,100 gas into that, and that's a huge investment.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And, well, now we just have Vampire moving forward. He's going to kill off this natural. Main is in trouble as well. Majority of the tech is there for Buell as well, so he'll have to create it at some point. Has he actually even moved up into high tech? I think he's still on just a lair, so he's going to have to make that lair somewhere else as well. That infestation pit will go down. Another one has not been created as far as I know. I haven't seen one in production tab whatsoever.
No, you're absolutely right.
He's not going to have infestors. He's not going to be able to move up to hive. He's going to lose his fire very soon.
And this comes down to throwing those units away. That was exactly the moment that he didn't want to do that. I mean, you never want to give a Protoss player the opportunity to move out and establish themselves on the map. You want to keep them pinned in, pinned in, pinned in. They can only extend far enough that they have to retreat when you counterattack. But that never happened. He just ran his units headlong into a bunch of Colossi and Stalkers and traded cost inefficiently, and that gave Vampire the go-ahead to start doing damage.
And I would say that, you know, Beal may have a chance to hold this off, but he didn't kill any economy waiting for that counterattack either when he had the Mutas pop in. The photon cannons were placed pretty brilliantly. Vampire made sure to have Zealous and Stalkers constantly warping in. They're able to deal with the units that were in his third base, and so he has the huge production available behind this, morphing in Archons now, moving into a couple more Archons as well as he keeps getting on high Templars, and he's still just moving around the third and fourth uncontested, literally.
Oh boy,
oh,
and if those Mutas ever hit those Archons, they're going to be dead very quickly. Doesn't even matter though, BLGG's Vampire takes the game. Good way to break that 3-base contain that was happening from his opponent, and ties up the set, so we're 2-2.
Vampire displaying patience, man. That's all you got to do against that strategy, and just wait for your opponent to make a huge mistake. Don't make any mistakes. Photon cannon up. Move up in the Stalker town. I would like to see Archon a little bit earlier, as you mentioned, but still, once he saw that mistake from Buell, the Lings engaging, the Lings dying off so fast, and the Stalker just blinking forward, that was just a hard position there for Buell.
And it's funny because we're just bouncing between the non-mirror matchups.
Yeah.
We've gone from like PVZ to PVT to TVZ to, and the last one was ZVP again. Well, we're back to PVT as Yoda's going to come in for Incredible Miracle. So we just keep rotating. As soon as one race loses, the next, the other matchup that player is worse at is actually coming in now. And we've noticed that there's been, even though these players are very well rounded, I think MVP is a criminally underrated player. Yoda's obviously very good too. They are obviously a lot stronger in one particular matchup, and we've seen a lot of snipers that have been prepared this whole set so far already into game number 5.
Yeah, I think we're getting to the point where we're getting to a little bit of the better players. Yoda's pretty good against, actually really good against Zerg players, but he's a little bit more balanced. He has about a 50% win ratio in the other two, and I think it's like a 57% win ratio against Zerg. But yeah, we're slowly moving to the best of the best for both teams here. But Yoda, let's see what we can do against Vampire. Let's run to a commercial break, and we'll be right back.